Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. We'll start in a few minutes, but before that, let me just inform you that when you post your photos on Facebook or Instagram, use the hashtag Radio Engineering Circle, hashtag RecFreeWebinar, hashtag DX, hashtag Technology Beyond Horizon, hashtag Public Safety Technology, hashtag IECEP Qatar. And if you have questions, you can type it in the Q&A box below, so we will be able to see if there are questions that we may ask to the speaker at the end of all the topics. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the DX Technology Beyond Horizon. This free webinar is brought to you by the Radio Engineering Circle Incorporated and in collaboration with the Institute of Electronics Engineers of the Philippines, Qatar chapter. I am Engineer John De La Cruz, Power Foxtrot 1 Juliet Juliet, and welcome to the fourth installment of the DX Technology Beyond Horizon. So for those who weren't able to join us in Zoom, you may watch this webinar in facebook.com/rec.org.ph/live, facebook.com/IECEP Qatar chapter/live, facebook.com/puprec/live, and rec.org.ph/YouTube. And now, to officially start our webinar, please welcome the IECEP Qatar 2019 Governor, Engineer Jaime G. Fortaliza, PECE, ACPE ASEAN Engineer. While waiting for Engineer Fortaliza, um, let me remind you that when you post your photos on Facebook or Instagram, use the hashtags Radio Engineering Circle, #Rec Free Webinars, #DX, Technology Beyond Horizon, Public Safety Technology, and ICEP Qatar. Okay? So I think Sir Fortaliza is already there. So also, we would like to invite you to join the Radio Engineering Circle. Just log on to rec.org.ph/join. Okay, so yesterday we had a lot of webinars. So we started in the morning with Dr. Joel Marciano and the Philippine Space Agency. We also had the Public Safety Network and also with us is the Rio R of the Z Zone and uh, the NASA and the Boeing journey or the space journey with NASA. Okay, so and okay, so if you want to join our organization, the Radio Engineering Circle Incorporated, join us by logging in or logging on to rec.org.ph/join. We are a proud member of the Philippine Amateur Radio Association and the Federation of the Rapid Emergency Telecoms Team of the Philippines, or RETPH. You may contact us also at the email address rec.org.ph or through Messenger m.me/rec.org.ph. Okay, so I think we can start now. Okay, so again, to officially start our webinar, please welcome the IECEP Qatar 2019 Governor, Engineer Jaime G. Fortaliza, PECE, ACPE, ASEAN Engineer.
Hello, everyone.
Hello sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Sorry sir, medyo may technical lang, sandali lang. Okay, salamat. Hello everyone. Good afternoon sa mga kababayan natin nasa Pilipinas at sa Asia Pacific region at magandang umaga to those who are residing in the Middle East. Welcome to this webinar entitled Public Safety Network and TETRA 101. This webinar is hosted by REC and in collaboration with IECEP Qatar. And despite of this COVID-19, we are still able to organize and deliver technical seminars to our fellow electronics engineer. And thank you to all the organizing committee, the REC and IECEP Qatar officers headed by Carmelito Bernades and co-founder Adonis Talabo. I would like also to say good morning to the REC President Patrick Georgian Holipas, Engineer Hartan, Ornan Vicente. Good morning, sir, sa inyong lahat. And I am confident that at the end of this webinar, you and I will learn a lot. So let's enjoy, have fun. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sir uh, Fortaleza. So again, just to remind everyone that when you post your photos on Facebook, on Instagram, use the hashtag Radio Engineering Circle, hashtag Rec Free Webinars, hashtag DX, hashtag Technology Beyond Horizon, hashtag Public Safety Technology, and hashtag IECEP Qatar. Also, we would like to invite everyone to join the Radio Engineering Circle Incorporated. Please join us at rec.org.page/join. Also, we would like to invite everyone tonight at the second season of the Resonate at Home uh, Genesis of Emergency Communications in the Philippines, the Bayanihan Edition, the spawning of the Rapid Emergency Telecoms Team of the Philippines. It will be held on June 13, June 20, and June 27. So tonight na yan. So on June 13, the topic will be on the Philippine Disaster Risk Reduction Management System, or the PDRRMS 101. Our research speaker for this three night is none other than the founder of the Rapid Emergency Telecoms Team of the Philippines, Colonel Edwin C. Sadang, PECE, MNSA, PA. This is also via the Zoom webinar. So to register, log on to webinar.rec.org.ph/resonate at home. Okay. So for today's talk, the discussion will be more of the TETRA. So what is TETRA? So we will let the speaker discuss more of it, and ano ba yung difference, or what's the difference of the TETRA to other radio systems. So let me introduce to you our distinguished guests. Our speaker for today is an electronics engineer. He is currently working as an RNO lead and RNP engineer in HCOM service and contracting in Doha, Qatar. So without further ado, please welcome Engineer John Mervin La Rosa.
Thank you, John. Set up ko lang. So, good day to all of us. So, we will be discussing about TETRA trunk radio, terrestrial trunk radio 101. So, last night I did some modification on the presentation due to some PM with regards to the design perspective. So, hopefully we still manage within the time with regards to the TETRA radio discussion. So let's start. So our overview of the topics for today. So what is TETRA? So what are the private mobile radios? So how the TETRA system works? So TETRA services, operation, TETRA system architecture, and why TETRA is ahead of those other standards. So the network design will fall on the after system architecture. Okay. So what is TETRA? So TETRA is a standard developed by ETSI, European Telecommunication Standards Institute, for to be used in Europe. So this is specifically created to be used by government agencies such as fire department, police, and medical personnel. So it is part of the private mobile radio, so or professional mobile radio. Okay, so we have two types of application of TETRA. So the first one is in public safety, which is composed of fire department, ambulance or medical practitioners, the police, and the military. So this is part of the discussion as well yesterday in public safety networks. But TETRA also has commercial applications. So TETRA is commonly used in airlines, in railways and tunnels, in commercial security. It is also used in bus, taxi, and other transportation. It is also used for oil and gas, especially in the offshore platforms, and of course in utility monitoring. So in power plants, electrical power plant, mga dams, etc. It's also used for utilities. So TETRA, as we mentioned, is a type of private mobile radio. So usually in the setup of private mobile radio is there's a dispatch. So it is one center containing the dispatcher and an antenna broadcasting and receiving on the other end. So this is an example, a simple example of a private mobile radio. Kung mapapansin natin sa Pilipinas, may mga taxi tayo na may mga radyo. So this is one of the classic example of private mobile radio. So there's a dispatcher controlling the air and broadcasting na, for example, may pasahero sa area to, kasi sino malapit, kunin niyo yung pasahero, or may nag-request ng passenger, papunta doon sa taxi kung sino yung malapit, pwede niya i-accommodate. So this is one simple example of private mobile radio. So private mobile radio usually is used for commercial in a small area, depending on the demand of radio coverage. So for TETRA, so we have different comparison with regards to the other private mobile radios protocol. So I highlighted TETRA because of their advantage over the other PMRs. So for example, if it is trunk or conventional PMR, TETRA is trunk. So meaning to say the frequency is shared between multiple users. So for example, ikaw ay gumagamit ka ng frequency na to, or yung system mo is nag-a-assign ng frequency via slots. So if you use this slot, may certain frequency siyang i-assign sa'yo, makakapag-usap kayo. However, once you finish the conversation, it will remain as a free slot. So ma-pre up din yung frequency na yon or yung channel na yon. So unlike for the conventional system na pagka gumamit ka ng hindi ka pwedeng may kasabay. Like for example, in a two-way radio, once na may mag-press in the same frequency, lahat kayo marireceive niyo yun. Pero hindi kayo pwedeng mag-usap ng sabay-sabay, unlike in a trunk radio. So this is one of the advantage of TETRA. And then it's using digital trunk, meaning to say lahat ng frequency is all on digital platform. So it's also using TDMA, which is in this particular scenario much may advantage over FDMA because you're having a limited frequency. So in order to have more capacity, mas maganda na mag-divide ka in the time domain. And then for the direct mode, it is supported on TETRA. So it means na kahit mawala yung trunk system mo or yung trunk network mo, kaya pa rin niyang mag-provide ng coverage or kaya pa rin niya mag-relay ng message. So for enhanced direct mode, this is one of the main feature of TETRA, which is the gateway mode. So kaya niyang mag-act as a repeater kung wala kang repeater via mobile. So it will enhance the direct mode of other mobiles as well. And then one of the good on this TETRA standard is an open standard, meaning to say lahat ng vendor will follow a certain set of standard at they can operate with each other. So with regardless of kung anong vendor yung ginagamit mo, pwede siyang gumana. Unlike in the other PMR, usually is proprietary. So hindi sila pwedeng gamitin for the different system. Okay, so how TETRA systems work? So like mentioned a while ago, hinahati niya yun by yung one frequency block na allocated sa TETRA system, hinahati niya into 4 slot via TDMA. So for each slot, there will be 200 symbols. 255 symbols. So, ito yung scenario na kung saan kayang gumamit ng 4 slots for 4 persons as well in using one frequency block. So, since we divided this one carrier into 4 channels, so pwede tayo mag-transmit in 4 different mobile at the same time. So, it increased the capacity very well. So TETRA services is divided into 2 major components. So we have voice services and we have data services. So let's discuss first, ano ba yung mga voice services under TETRA? So the common voice services in TETRA is individual call. So individual call can be full duplex or half duplex. So you can dial his TETRA number and then pwede mong i-click tong yung green button. So it will connect you in a full duplex mode. And then one alternative for half duplex is you will dial the number and then you will press the PTT. So by doing this, you have a half duplex only, parang one-way communication. Para kang nagpi-PTT pero directly lang sa isang tao. And then the next one is the group call with late entry via PTT. So as we discussed yesterday, may mga group call with regards to the for the mobile radios. So currently, if you're having the same talk groups, so for example, may talk group 1 tayo. Once I press the PTT under talk group 1, all those mobile, kahit magkakalayo tayo or out of geography, as long as connected ka sa trunk radio, you will receive every message on the same talk group. However, for the late entry feature, for example, kabubukas mo lang ng mobile mo, hindi ka pa nakaset doon sa talk group na yon. So with this late entry feature, kahit hindi ka pa nakaset doon sa talk group na yon, once na may mag-transmit doon sa talk group na yon, automatically yung mobile mo magsi-switch doon sa talk group. So kasi yung talk group is manually set via the knobs. So parang kang may channel selector. So kung halimbawa ang talk group mo is channel 1 at lahat kayo nakaset sa channel 1, tapos kabubukas mo lang ng mobile mo, nasa channel 2 ka, automatically pagka may emergency broadcast sa talk group 1, magle-late entry ka dun sa talk group 1. So lilipat ka dun sa talk group 1 kahit nakaset ka sa talk group 2 primarily. So that's group call with late entry. And then for broadcast, so TETRA has a capability to broadcast with regards to the area. So ito naman, para siyang group call din, pero you're on the same geographical area. So it's the same, half duplex. So it's also used as multi-point call. And then we have as well emergency call and preemptive priority call. So lahat ng TETRA radios may tinatawag tayong emergency key switch. So once you press this emergency key switch, it will pop up on the system na minomonitor ng dispatch. So si dispatch will acknowledge your call. He or she will set up your mobile into an emergency settings. So if igagaran ka ng dispatcher, kaya mong i-take over yung broadcast from the dispatcher for the certain amount of time. So ikaw yung nasa top priority ng network. So all the other traffics will be made secondary. So ginagamit to for location tracing. At the same time, if you have emergency or very urgent message. So after nung call mo or after nung emergency message mo, tatanggalin na rin ni dispatch yung emergency settings mo. So maraming gamit to, especially for law enforcement, tong emergency call. Also, meron din tayong dynamic group number assignment. So this is one of the best voice services ng TETRA. So si dispatcher or controller can create or remove talk groups over the air. So without configuring your mobile directly. So ang condition lang nito dapat naka-up yung mobile mo. So pwede siyang magtanggal, pwede siyang mag-create ng talk groups in a specific scenario. For example, nag-respond kayo sa isang area at kailangan na for ease of deployment. For example, magkakaibang talk group yung kayo tapos nag-response kayo sa isang area. So para mapabilis yung communication between you guys, pwedeng gawin ni dispatcher na ilagay kayo sa isang separate na talk group without physically configuring it to your mobile. So ayun yung isa sa kagandahan ng TETRA. So kaya niya mag-config over the air. So one of as well the best voice services is the direct mode operation. So radios can still operate in the absence of the network or the trunk network. So we will discuss this one further later on kasi ito yung for emergency purposes. Okay, so let's go with the TETRA data services. So TETRA data services consists of packet data and short data services. So let's discuss it one by one. So for the TETRA data services, we have this SDS or short data services. We have this packet data, and we have the multi-slot packet data, which is using the whole 4 slots, and the TETRA phase 2 TEDS, so TETRA Enhanced Data Services. So the first 3 mentioned data services belongs to TETRA Release 1. However, for the TETRA Enhanced Data Services, it is under TETRA Release 2. So yung TETRA 2, Release 2, it's like Edge in GPR, Edge and GPRS. So GPRS for Release 1 and Edge for Release 2. So usually for TETRA Release 1, location-based services, GPS coordinates is supported for the whole Release 1 and Release 2 as well. So for ease of deployment on site, usually may mga location-based services na pinoprovide si TETRA like coordinates and GPS monitoring. So natatrack ka ng dispatcher mo with regards to the location para mas maging accurate yung pagdi-dispatch niya ng location. And then database search, may mga database na pwedeng i-access via TETRA radio. So for example, you need a specific suit. Let's say for example, there's a chemical or spill. So you need a specific suit na nalaman mo lang nung nag-response na kayo. So pwede mo siyang tingnan sa database nyo kung meron kayong available suit at pwede mo siyang i-request kay dispatcher para yung mga second na darating, madadala na nila yung mga kailangan mong materials. So it is also used to verify some some queries, like for example, may gantong scenario at hindi mo alam yung protocol, pwede mo siyang tanungin din sa database search. For example, mag-insert ka ng mga keywords, pa-pop up doon yung ibang services. So ma-verify mo siya sa database. And then images on radios, ginagamit to usually kung may mga suspect or may mga missing persons na na papahanap sa iyo via TETRA. So you can send as well low resolution picture and then pwede mo siyang i-download. So makikita mo siya at the same time mabe-verify mo yung target nyo or yung persons of interest nyo. So but on the release 1 covers this all and release 2. However, when it comes to release 2, meron na rin tayong slow scanning video. So pwede ka na rin mag-send ng video in a low resolution at medyo mabagal yung to give you an image comparison, para siyang GIF. So ganun lang yung quality ng video niya. Yung kung mahilig ka sa mga memes, yung mga GIF memes, parang ganun yung slow scanning video. But TETRA cannot do video streaming. So ito yung hindi pa kayang gawin because of the estimated throughput as well. So kung titingnan natin yung estimated throughput, napakababa to cater video streaming as of the moment. So that's why in TETRA services usually nilalagyan na rin namin ng LTE to have as well video streaming. At the same time, yung mga rapid data kailangan isend via LTE network. Okay, so what are the application of the TETRA data services? So usually, dahil may location services tayo under the data services, pwede siyang gamitin as GPS localization. For the outdoor side, pwede rin naman siyang gamitin as indoor localization sa loob ng building. So pag may mga different antennas ka, kaya kanyang i-locate within the building. So it's very essential lalo na sa mga rescue mission. For example, you're here in this particular area, kaya kanyang i-locate much better because as we all know, during emergency usually yung visual capability ng mga rescuer minsan malabo dahil sa usok or something. So this is one of the good thing about TETRA. So pwede siyang radio beacon for indoor localization. And then form-based entry, ito yung for meter readings. So ito yung isa sa function ng TETRA for commercial purposes. So if we like I mentioned a while ago, ginagamit din siya sa mga offshore platforms, sa mga utilities. So usually pwede mo siyang integrate to the SCADA system as well para makita niyo yung mga entries niyo or datas. So kasi yung SCADA usually 'di ba ay yung nagmo-monitor ng system nyo. So, tinitingnan niya yung mga values on site, instrumentation values, everything. So, TETRA can be used as well to send the data on the server. Okay? So, meron din mga database query. Ito yung kanina. So, pwede itong for law enforcement, napakalaking tulong nito kasi pagka magre-report ka, mag-encode ka lang ng mga values. And then, pwede mong isend sa dispatcher kung ano yung mga kailangan mo, ano yung nangyari sa site. So, this is one of the good services of TETRA. Also, ito yung kanina, yung pwede ka mag-send ng picture ng mga missing persons. So, ganito yung itsura niya sa TETRA radio. Tapos, pwede ka rin, meron din tayong message update. For example, ano yung nasan ka na, kung ano yung naging update netong nangyaring dispatch. So, pwede ka mag-send din yun. Saka yung mga location din. Sinesend din siya via message updates. And then, you can send as well the an email to your client via TETRA. So, pero ano lang tayo, yung mga, hindi siya HTML usually. So, yung mga plain text email lang. So let's go to the next part of the discussion, which is TETRA operation. So this picture tells you a lot with regards to the TETRA operation. So kung mapapansin nyo, meron tayong TMO and DMO. So these two operation is which can be coexisting with each other. So TMO is trunk mode operation. This is with the aid of the network, TETRA network na dineploy mo. While direct mode operation is within the mobiles. So it can be a repeater or it can be the handheld mobiles. So as you can see, pwede rin siyang excluded sa trunk mode or included sa trunk mode. Mamaya i-discuss natin kung bakit. Okay? So let's go with the trunk mode operation. So trunk mode operation like what we discussed yesterday is using the separate frequency to be distributed to different user. So yung system mo yung nag-allocate ng frequency at slots to different user. So siya na rin yung nagko-control and then ibabato to sa mga dispatcher. So that's how trunking works. So it's sharing all the resources to multiple users. Okay, so that's the basic principle of trunk mode. So it's like the system itself, may BTS ka, so all the normal network settings ng TETRA. Kasi mamaya di-discuss natin yan in depth, yung trunk mode, yung component ng trunk mode. Okay, so let's focus in direct mode operation. So we have 4 setups in the direct mode operation. It's either back-to-back. So back-to-back, so for example, out of the coverage na kayo ng network. So you need to activate your direct mode operation. So pag inactivate mo yung direct mode, so maghahanap ka ngayon ng pwedeng kausapin. So pag nag-transmit ka, marireceive ka ng ibang mobile within the coverage area. So, ang disadvantage nito is napaka-limited ng area mo kasi mas mababa na yung bato ng handheld mo. So, kung ano yung coverage ng handheld mobile mo, ayun lang yung kaya niyang kunin when it comes to the back-to-back mode. So, it's a direct mode operation between 2 handheld mobile radio. There's another setup, for example, as a DM repeater. For example, isang area, walang signal. So, ang gagawin mo, kukuha ka ng repeater, ilalagay mo doon sa area, repeater should be configured as a gateway, in a gateway mode, at magkakaroon kayo ng communication. So yung repeater mo, kung ano yung scope ng repeater mo, ay hindi nyo magiging scope ngayon yung bagong DMO scope mo. So usually repeater can transmit better than the handheld. So mas malaki yung area na covered nito. And it can cover multiple handheld. So it's like, ito yung magiging bagong TMO area mo. Pero ang nangyayari is, naka-repeater ka lang. So, ang disadvantage nito, there's some services na hindi kaya ng DM repeater. So, mamaya may table ako doon para makita niyo yung mga services na pwede during this scenario. So, one of the good thing as well is the DM gateway. Ito naman, ang setup naman nito, yung isang mobile mo, which is on the right side, kung nakikita nyo sa right side, this is under the trunking mode. So, covered pa siya ng mga BTS. So, ngayon, ang gagawin natin, kukonect from right to left. So, ang mangyayari, covered siya ng trunking. Yung area ni handheld sa left is not covered by the trunking. So, mag-i-install tayo ng repeater in between as a gateway. So, para makakonect si handheld to the trunk mobile. So, gagawin natin siyang gateway. So, ang difference niya kay DM repeater, yung dalawang mobile under DM repeater is not covered by the trunking or not covered by the trunk system. While in the DM gateway, yung isang mobile mo covered ng trunk while the other is not covered by the trunk. Yung gantong situation, nangyayari to dun sa mga first and second responder, usually mga susunod na dispatch. So, for example, may tanong si dispatch 1 kay dispatch 2 or yung mga respondent 1 kay respondent 2. Kung second batch si respondent 2 at hindi niya alam yung situation ni respondent 1, pwede siyang mag-direct via this DM gateway. At least kaya nilang mag-communicate with each other kahit walang coverage si responder 1. So, ganito yung setup niya usually for the DM gateway. And then for the dual watch, usually, ang ginagawa naman ni dual watch, ang main focus natin yung repeater. Sa DM gateway, naka-gateway mode lang siya. So during this dual watch, nag-gateway mode siya at the same time, nag-DDM operation siya. From time to time, nagdi-disconnect siya sa trunk to search for the direct mode. Parang ganun. So this one is from time to time, di-disconnect siya dito sa trunk mode para i-connect yung yung mobile to the different DMO as well in the area. So para siyang scanning. So whatever, pag may traffic sa trunk mode operation na kailangan i-relay dito sa mobile na naka-DMO, i-relay niya. Pero once na wala ng traffic, isa-search niya naman ngayon yung other DMO na hindi covered before. So itatry niyang i-merge yung mga DMO na yun. So ayun yung dual watch. So ano yung usually application ng direct mode operation natin? So usually ito, yung nag-i-streamline ng deployment for emergency response, especially kung wala kayong coverage ng TETRA sa area na yon. So dahil dito, mas mapapabilis yung deployment ng communication kahit wala kang signal. So ano to, for example, isla na wala pang TETRA, at least pwede kayo mag-setup ng network nyo in direct mode sa isang isla na malayo, or when the power fails, pwede niyo siya i-deploy as a streamline na deployment for the meantime habang wala pa yung network nyo. Please note that yung TETRA and other PSN usually ginagamit siya in critical time. So worst case scenario, kailangan gumana siya kahit wala kayong power. So let's note on that one. Kasi ayun yung essence ng TETRA as well. So ito yung one application niya, coverage expansion. For example, wala pa kayong BTS, buhay naman yung trunking system nyo, kaso wala pa kayong BTS for that particular area. Pwede siyang gawin muna as temporary for outdoor solution. Temporary lang yung repeater para lang magkaroon ng coverage for that particular area. Tapos tatanggalin siya once na ma-establish na yung bagong tower or something. Pwede rin siyang gamitin as coverage expansion sa indoor kasi not all indoor or buildings, especially the high-rise, is covered by TETRA. So pwede siyang gawin as coverage expansion. Given na yung repeater, i-connect siya sa in-building solutions para magkaroon ng repeater inside the building. So it also enhance the signal inside. So ayun yung pinakamagandang application niya for coverage expansion. So what's the key comparison between DMO and TMO? So yung mga individual call sa TMO is full duplex. So in DMO, it can be done pero simplex lang. So the group to group call, yung point to many or point to point or point to many, kaya niyang gawin in both modes. However, for the circuit mode data transfer, mas mababa ka pag naka-DMO kasi wala kang one slot lang yung ginagamit mo kasi wala ka nung trunking. So yung trunking, it from one frequency, kaya niyang i-divide into 4 slots via TDMA. So unlike in DMO, usually one slot lang yung pwede mong gamitin dahil hindi ka nakatrunk. So that affects as well your data transfer. Kaya kung mapapansin nyo, 4 slot, 1 slot lang yun. So it will divide for as well yung data transfer mo. So status messages, pwede siya in both mode, late entry, both mode. And then emergency pre-call, over the air keying, lahat, air interface encryption sa end-to-end encryption, both mode okay siya. So kaya pa rin niyang i-accommodate yun. However, yung mga IP data packet natin, hindi siya applicable sa DMO. Hindi rin pwede na mag-authorize call yung dispatch dahil wala ka sa coverage ng dispatch. So yung mga call authorized ng dispatch, wala sa DMO. Yung ambience listening, ito yung capability ng mobile to minimize the noise, background noise. At the same time, makakapakinig ka while listening to the background noise as well. Wala siya. Kasi yung ambience noise, maganda siya kasi yung voice enhancing or audio enhancing feature to ng TETRA, pero kailangan ng base station to do that. So ambience listening is applicable yung mga fire. Pag maingay, maraming alarm. So at least nakakarinig ka ng alarm pero nakaka-clear yung naririnig mo from the dispatch. So yung other network-based features, wala dahil naka-gateway ka. So hindi mo siya pwedeng gawin habang naka-gateway mode. So call forwarding bawal din at yung call recording. Kasi itong call forwarding at call recording usually, nangyayari ito sa TETRA base station. So hindi siya masi-switch under DMO. So next. So for the TETRA system architecture, so this is a classic example of the system architecture. So ano ba yung mga element ng TETRA system? So let's start from the mobile. The next will be the TB3 or the TETRA base station. So it can be called as TB3 or TBS. So ito makita natin yung mga katabi ng cell site. So this is the TB3, the cabinet. Meron ba tayong pointers para kita? So, ito yung makita nyo, TB3, connected siya sa DXT or the Digital Exchange for TETRA. So, DXT is like the base station controller in GSM. So, it controls multiple TETRA base station. So, TETRA base station is like yung base station natin, base station transceiver in GSM. So, para mas makarelate kayo, DX3 is like the base station controller. So usually itong mga base station controller connected to the other DXT rin. So yung mga DXT na to, it will be connected to the main network. So this main network usually, ito na yung nasa data communication network natin. Ito yung nasa dispatcher side where you can be connected to the network monitoring system, to the CDD server, and the ABL server. So, kung mapapansin nyo, meron tayong red broken line. Para saan to? This is for redundancy. So, usually, TETRA systems natin, kailangan may layer tayo ng redundancy. For example, yung main line mo from this TB3 to this DXT, yung makikita nyo yung other black line niya. Ito yung red line, yung nasa kanan ng red line, yung left niya may black line, connected to sa DXT. Once this connection is, for example, nagkaroon ng issue in the transmission, co-connect siya sa other TB3 via this redundancy. So, kahapon na itanong kung ano yung main factor sa TETRA. So, one of the main factors sa deployment ng TETRA is redundancy. So, this redundancy will also additional cost in the system. Kasi as precautionary, kailangan gumana pa rin siya. Kaya kailangan mo ng redundancy in case of emergency, at least may mga different pathway yung yung system mo para mag-function pa rin sa. Okay? So ito yung different BTS topologies or TB3 topologies na pwede natin gawin. This will add as well redundancy. Pero pwede naman siyang chain pero minsan walang redundancy. So it can be point to point. So one TB3 connected to DXT. It can be a star. So yung mga TB3 connected to one TB3 and then that TB3 will be connected to DXT. So it can be loop. So pag loop, it will add yung redundancy layer as well. Kasi yung path mo, for example, may maputol ka sa gitna, at least meron ka pang another path. And then chain. Ang difference lang sa mga system na to, pagka may natanggal ka sa chain, for example, natanggal yung second TB3 mo, yung succeeding TB3 mo, wala na connection sa DXT. Unlike dun sa loop, na may matanggal siya, basta hindi siya ma-isolate in both side, gagana pa rin siya. So sa star naman, ang critical dito yung first TB3. So as long as hindi siya mag-down, hindi magda-down yung mga nasa ilalim niya. Okay? So usually ito yung yung topologies natin. My personal recommendation is loop. However, cost-wise, usually yung iba pagka medyo tinitipid na pupunta tayo sa ibang BTS topology. So ano naman yung mga DXT topologies? So usually we have like I told you, to build a PSN na reliable at redundant, usually kailangan mo ng multiple layers of redundancy to secure nagagana at gagana siya during emergency time. So sometimes in DXT kino-connect natin siya in a ring connected system papuntang main network mo para para ma-redundant yung DXT. Kasi pag nag-down tong DXT, lahat ng under na BTS na magda-down siya. So ring can make or this ring topology can assure you na merong at least 2 or 3 points na pwede siyang daanan. The pool mesh connected for access layer. Ito naman, pag pool mesh, talagang full redundancy ito. However, yung cost ng pool mesh, as I mentioned a while ago, the more na nagre-redundant ka ng network, the more nagkakaroon ng cost. So mas ito yung pinaka magandang i-deploy as DXT topology. However, napaka-costly niya, especially for the transport system, kasi kung maglalatag ka ng fiber nito between DXTs, napakalaki ng ilalatag mo. Kasi kailangan mong i-connect siya sa sa ibang DXT rin. So it secures you but it will add cost as well. So let's go now to the network planning. So ito yung mga inad ko last night kasi may mga nagtatanong with regards to the network planning. So I divide them into 4. So ano yung mga essential lang na nilagay ko. So we will discuss traffic model, yung subscriber related information na kailangan natin during the TETRA planning, yung geographical extent ng planning natin, at yung mga existing facilities. So ito yung mga 4 major factors na kailangan mo when you're planning a TETRA network. So let's go with the traffic modeling. Ito medyo technical. So first, technical consideration mo is the amount of traffic. Ano yung mga factors na kailangan mong i-consider sa amount ng traffic? So number of average calls during busy hour, average call duration, number of subs per square kilometer, and traffic types. So ito is, once you have these 4, you can calculate it via Erlang-V or Erlang-C formula. So pag may traffic ka na, so you can dimension na yung yung transport system mo, or kung ilan na yung kailangan mong channels o ilan yung kailangan mong frequency na gagamitin. So this type of traffic includes individual call na semi-duplex, individual call na duplex, group calls, status messages, packet data. So po-profile mo yung area. So syempre, iba-iba yung profile niya, depende sa number of subscriber or number nung area na i-cover mo. For example, alam mong heavy area tong traffic na to, kailangan mo taasan din yung yung mga calls, yung mga number of calls. Kasi baka mamaya for the network planning, usually yung traffic modeling yung pinaka-critical, kasi pag halimbawang nagkamali ka ng dimension ng traffic at nalagay mo yung heavy traffic sa light computation lang, mag-overcongest yung system mo. So kailangan mo siyang i-upgrade. So kung nagkamali ka in the planning stage pa lang, pag nag-upgrade ka ng system mo next time, mas mamumblema ka kasi mas mahirap mag-upgrade ng system kaysa nakalatag na siya in the first place. So be careful on this traffic modeling. So subscriber-related information, usually yung estimated foot traffic mo in geographical distribution. When we say geographical distribution, it's either outdoor or indoor. So i-estimate lang natin kung ilan yung number na target mo. For example, kung gusto mo naman ng exact, pwede mong tingnan yung mga HLR and BLR mo, yung mga registry, kumbaga local registry. So at least yung BLR, HLR mo, medyo accurate yung mabibigay sa iyo for a certain area. So also, kung mamimili ka rin ng HLR at saka BLR capacity mo, pwede mo siyang tingnan sa vendor specification. So ano lang yan, usually assumption to yung mga traffic per cell natin. So ano yan, usually ang ginagawa dito, may may mga basis ka, especially kung may mga na-establish ka na TETRA sites, pwede mong kunin yung historical data niya, gaano ba karami. For example, ang cover mo is a mall. So malaking mall, so titingnan natin ano ba yung mga yung average traffic niya. So pwede mo itong i-gamitin as a basis para sa mga next project po. So usually ginagawa to sa telco as a practice para yung mga design mo next time is more accurate na when it comes to subscriber related information. So, yung geographical extent, usually dito babase yung dami ng TBS saka na DXT mo. So, for example, ko-cover ka na malaking area in an outdoor. So, di ba, ipe-predict mo siya sa outdoor tool. So, doon pala malalaman mo na kung ilan yung tower targets mo. For example, 3 yung ilalagay mo. So, titingnan mo naman ngayon kung ilan yung DXT na kailangan mo idagdag, kung may available bang DXT, kung kailangan mo magtayo ng isa. So, titingnan mo rin yung yung digital exchange mo na kung ilan yung kailangan mo para i-connect them. So, syempre, kailangan mo na i-check yung redundancy. So, meron pa bang near na facilities dito na pwede natin connectan. So, it will add as well a value to your network. At the same time, makakadagdag ka ng layer of redundancy. So, ang isa sa issue dito sa geographical extent is yung mga special requirements sa mga indoor coverage. Like for example, yung mga matataas ng building, mahirap gawin to. Kasi usually, pag mas matataas ang building mo sa TETRA towers mo, wala kang coverage sa taas. So, ang kailangan mong planning dito is to determine the extent of the coverage of the outdoor and then check the signal indoor kung kaya pa niya or hindi. Kung kaya pa ng outdoor to deep indoor kasi mababa frequency ng TETRA. So usually may mga deep indoors pa siya na covered. So for example, yung 20 floors niya covered, yung remaining 30 floors niya hindi. At least sa 30 floors ka na lang magde-design. So it can be that way or yung iba ang ginagawa, pina-full design na yun, yung 50 floors let's say, pina-full design na nila yun in accordance na baka magkaroon ng future blockade dun sa outdoor. So it's depending on the strategy. Pero depende na rin yun sa resources nyo. Kung kaya nyo i-cover ng full 50, I suggest i-full 50 natin. Kaysa yung outdoor natin yung 20 tapos yung 30 is indoor. Pero later on magkakaroon ng mga blockage, yung mga construction or something, i-extend nyo ngayon yung 20 floors to indoor. So, depending on the strategy. So, ito yung medyo deep technical, kumbaga. So, yung mga roads, waterways, pipeline din, kasi ito, it will depend on the how it is constructed. So, usually, wala kang dito. Talagang kailangan mo i-survey, kailangan mo tingnan yung mga factors for the design. And then yung tunnel and underground coverage. Ang pinakamahirap dito is tunnel because limited yung pwede mong paglagyan ng gamit, number 1. Yung extend ng tunnel usually mahahaba. So yung power mo is one of the main concern as well. At the same time, maraming design consideration here. Yung mga mechanical, kasi pag tunnel, di ba, usually may mga vibration. So ibang gamit din yung usually ginagamit. Yung heat niya, kasi usually pag tunnel, mababa ang ventilation. So mahirap. Usually yung kailangan mo i-check yung mga equipment nyo kung kaya. So ito yung yung mga special consideration sa mga indoor coverage. So let's proceed with the next one, yung mga existing facilities. So ito, kailangan mo siya i-consider sa design mo, sa network planning mo kasi ito yung magdidikta sa'yo kung ilan pa yung mga gagamitin mo. So, ilan yung current mass? Baka pwedeng additional sector lang sa mga current outdoor to cover this area. So, makakatipid kayo doon. So, when it comes to transmission facilities, kung may redundancy ba na available or kung may mga nalatag na ba dati na pwede nyong i-extend na lang going to the site. So, ito yung mga top considerations natin. So, ito yung usual na workflow. Actually, this is a very high-level workflow when it comes to the TETRA network planning. So, syempre, first step, survey and design stage, parang tabletop design. Sa survey ka, kailangan mo i-predict. And then, for propagation measurement, usually, ang ginagamit sa outdoor is COS231. However, kung meron kayong mga tools na kayang yung mga clutter mga factors, mas maganda 'yon kasi yung mga buildings mape-predict niya lalo na sa mga high dense area. So mas accurate siya doon. For indoor, usually ang ginagamit namin is fast ray tracing propagation measurement because of the walls. So walls can either absorb or reflect signal. So fast ray tracing is the best for that particular environment. So capacity planning, kanina yung kinumpit natin, yung may Erlang B at Erlang C calculation. So ito yon. For the frequency planning, so may dalawa tayong category under frequency planning, which is frequency plan at the same time yung interference analysis. So nilagay ko na rin dito yung ratio na kailangan natin for co-channel and adjacent channel. Kung nagde-design kayo ng GSM network, it's almost the same when it comes to TETRA. So you have co-channel interference then at adjacent channel interference. So rule of thumb, channel 1, channel 2 hindi pwede magtabi. Channel 1 and channel 1 hindi rin pwede magtabi. So ayun yung rule. So pwede kang channel 1, channel 3 na yung susunod, then channel 4. Kung wala nang coverage si channel 1 for that particular area, pwede mo nang gamitin ulit si channel 1. So as long as i-satisfy niya yung co-channel interference ratio which is 19 dB at yung adjacent channel interference ratio na negative 45. So kung nasa area ka na kailangan mo mag-reference or magkaroon ng co-channel or adjacent dahil napaka-strict na ng frequency plan mo, kailangan mo lang taasan yung ratio dito. For example, co-channel pero let's say 25 dB siya above the interference signal, pwede mo na siyang i-apply. So ano na to, in-depth network planning na siya. Yung mga wala ng choice. And then for parameter planning, meron tayong 5 type of parameters. So adjacency, Hanover level parameter, power control, MCCH load control. Usually ito standard to during commissioning. However, papalit-palitan natin to during optimization na. So usually to, mga scripts. So naka-define na yan lahat dependent dun sa target site mo. So network optimization, so during pag open na yung yung or servicing na yung yung site mo. So there's a lot of network optimization na kailangan mong gawin. So titingnan mo kung nag-handover ba or adjust some parameters, define some neighbors, so kung may nangyayari bang issues when it comes to the calls, everything. So dito papasok. So why TETRA? So like I mentioned a while ago, TETRA is same with GSM. So yung mga ibang natin, iba mas prepared nila yung GSM. So if you're familiar with GSM-R, meron tayong protocol sa GSM when it comes to public safety rin. So may mga GSM-R silang ginagamit. So for this one kasi mas advantageous pa rin yung TETRA when it comes to the GSM platform. Kasi yung mas mababa yung frequency, so kaya niyang mag-cover ng more area. So yung security nung nung communication mo mas maganda sa TETRA compared to GSM. Data capacity, mas maganda na ngayon yung GSM in a sense kasi pwede kang mag-multiple channel na ngayon sa GSM and at the same time mas mataas yung frequency niya, usually mas malalaki yung bands niya. So for the mobility, ito yung isa sa main advantage ng TETRA over GSM because yung handover mo or yung decision making ng handover is usually on the mobile side while in GSM usually network side. Since network side yun, usually nagkakaroon ng issue with the mobility. So for the operation, mas maganda ang TETRA in a sense because kaya mo mag-DMO. So one of the best capability of TETRA is the DMO, direct mode. Because in the absence of the network, GSM will not work. While TETRA will still work, especially kung wala talagang yung during the critical area or critical times. So ito yung pinakamagandang advantage ng TETRA over GSM. For the deployment, mas mabilis i-deploy ang TETRA kasi TETRA, for example, may mobile ka, pag direct mode ka na lang, for the meantime, GSM kasi kailangan may site ka. So without the site or without the BTS of GSM, hindi kagana yung system mo. And then resiliency side, mas maganda ang layer ng resiliency ng TETRA kaysa sa GSM because of the DMO functionalities, everything. So, ito yung main advantages ng TETRA to GSM. That's why TETRA is used in different big industry. Like for example, oil and gas, utilities, lahat ng ginagamit si TETRA. At one of the best application nga rin pala with TETRA is the SCADA. So that's why yung mga offshore usually na rin, nagsiswitch na rin to TETRA. So TETRA with comparison to Project 25. So Project 25 less yung frequency, so mas malalayo yung coverage niya. While security and data capacity, mas mataas ang data capacity ni TETRA because TETRA is using 25 kHz unlike Project 25 usually ang bandwidth nito na 12.5 lang. So mas mataas ang data capacity ng TETRA. So mobility wise same din naman sila. Operation nila is same as well. Deployment is same. Madali silang i-deploy. Resiliency wise is same as well. But for the network efficiency, mas mataas ang efficiency ni TETRA. So he's utilizing TETRA is utilizing 4 channels unlike 2 channels lang sa Project 25. And then for network capacity, since mas mataming slots si TETRA, mas mataas yung network capacity niya dahil kaya niya mag-accommodate ng 4 packet data or 4 users, voice call users in one band unlike for Project 25, for 1 channel. But for Project 25, dalawa lang yung kaya niya accommodate per channel. Okay, so let's proceed now with Q&A. Jan? Hello, Jan?
Yes, Kuya.
So,
Okay.
let's proceed na with the Q&A.
Okay, sige Kuya. Thank you for that
At least
very
nasama
informative.
pa rin natin yung 1 hour kahit nag-network planning.
Oo nga eh. At least, di ba? Marami pa tayong time for that. Okay, sige. Before we start our Q&A, Kuya, we would like to acknowledge first the presence of the following guests. So we have the Honorable Engineer Enrico Claro del Moro of the Board of Electronics Engineering. Napakasipag at laging kasama natin sa mga webinars natin dito sa Radio Engineering Circle. Also with us are the Board of Trustees of the Radio Engineering Circle Incorporated, headed by the Chairman, Engineer Gerhard Tan, Delta Victor 1, Papa Charlie, Vice Chairman, Engineer Ornan Vicente, and President and CEO, Engineer Patrick Georgian Hulipas, for Foxtrot 1 Papa Hotel. Also with us is Mr. Ben Viloria, Trustee of the PUP Radio Engineering Circle, Manila Section, and retired Technical Sergeant Noel De Castro, Trustee of the PUP Radio Engineering Circle, Maragondon Section. Okay, so let's start with the questions. Okay, Sir Mervs, first question. So, what is more efficient to use, TETRA or DMR?
Siyempre, TETRA pa rin ako. Kasi DMR, usually, like I explained yesterday, DMR, it used 2 slots eh. So, kumakain siya ng mas maraming bandwidth, ng mas maraming channel compared to TETRA. TETRA kasi it divides into 4. So, yung 4 na simultaneous yun. So, it's either 2 data, 2 calls, or 4 calls or 4 data. So efficiency wise, I will go with the TETRA kasi number 1, mas malaki yung capacity niya to accommodate the demand. At the same time, mas efficient siya in terms of the data capacity.
Sige po. Okay. Next question. Can you explain further in terms of interoperability of TETRA to existing radio communication systems used by the BFP, PNP, and other government agencies in the Philippines?
Actually, kahapon may binalikan akong question with regards to kung pwede raw ba kumonek yung P25 sa TETRA. So, wala akong makitang kasing paper to connect DMR and TETRA. Pero pwede silang kumonek sa PSTN. So, I think possible. Pero wala akong makita yung to back up yung concept kung may na-implement na ba na gano'n. Pero ang sigurado ko, TETRA can be connected to GSM of commercial. For example, you have the PSN TETRA. It can be connected to commercial GSM kasi ganun yung communication namin ngayon ng client namin. So, he's calling me via TETRA in my GSM number. Kaya ko rin siyang tawagan using my number, GSM number, to his TETRA mobile. May ewan ko paano yun, kasama yata yun sa license na binili nila. So I think by the help of license, pwede natin interoperate yung mga network natin. However, I'm not sure if they can communicate with each other kasi yung handheld may limit yan eh. Especially sa So hindi ko sure kung handhelds ba na to is compatible with this. Pero with TETRA, I'm sure GSM is compatible kasi nagagawa na namin yung mga calls sa TETRA.
So ibig sabihin TETRA to GSM possible na magkaroon ng
Yes, yun. Talagang possible yung kasama yan sa mga license. So and this is a different network to highlight this is PSN to commercial.
Sige po. Okay. Next question is, what is the minimum required transmission bandwidth to effectively transmit voice and data signals in a TETRA network? And is planning a TETRA network similar to planning a GSM network in terms of capacity and quality?
When it comes to capacity, yung diniscuss natin kanina, so may mga factors tayo to consider. Once na meron ka ng data doon, pwede mo siya i-compute via R lang B, R lang C. So with that, yung mga capacity-wise, pwede mo na siyang makuha. When it comes to yung una niyang medyo marami kasi siyang yung capacity planning ba with GSM, almost the same.
Yeah.
Yung methods don't get me wrong, yung methods niya almost the same. Kasi GSM ganun din naman ang planning ng GSM eh. 'Di ba? You need put traffic, how many calls per busy hour, almost the same concept. Pero yung capacity usually sa TETRA mas medyo tinataasan ng konti.
Compared sa GSM planning.
Kasi usually si GSM limited din yung pwede mong i-allocate eh. Unlike kay TETRA na ilan yung frequency na kaya kong i-allocate. Pero kung full config ang GSM mo, mataas yun. Pero usually ngayon, because of frequency planning, usually mababa yun na kukuha natin TRX. Pero kay TETRA medyo mataas usually.
Okay. Kuya Mervs, tingin tayo dun sa sa Q&A. Meron dito mga questions. Sige, from Milfred Perez. So, sir, can you recommend TETRA in mountainous area?
Yes. Number one, because of the low frequency, it can cover wide area. So, mas applicable yan sa mountainous area. At the same time, mas mabilis siyang i-deploy kaysa sa mga GSM network when it comes to mountainous area. Like my example, pwede kang mag-repeater and then DMO ka dun sa area na yon. Although limited yung capability mo, at least may coverage ka. Parang ganun yung concept. So pwede siya, mas para sa akin, mas mabilis siyang sa mountainous. At the same time, to give you a highlight as well, may mga TETRA talaga coverage usually in mountainous area for research and rescue. So usually meron talaga, usually.
Yan. Yung TETRA for sure mamaya sana ma-discuss din mamaya yung gabi din kasama ni Colonel. So for sure since magamit yung TETRA for rescue, then it will be a good opportunity din for the disaster management and so on. Okay, next po from anonymous attendee. Also, we would like to remind kapag magtatanong kayo, pwede kayong magsabi ng pangalan nyo. Don't worry. Hindi naman kayo hahanapin ng aming mga members. Okay. So, sir, yung over-the-air keying?
Yung over-the-air keying is usually kasi pag magko-config ka ng radio, kailangan mo yung radio, connect mo yung data cable to your PC to configure. Pero pag over the air keying, kahit hindi mo physically nakuha yung radio, pwede mo siyang configure via the air. So that's over the air keying. So pwede mo siyang i-configure, like example kanina, pwede ka magdagdag ng talk group or mag-remove ng talk group over the air. Pwede ka rin mag-set ng ibang parameters over the air. Pwede mong gawin yung pwede mong configure yung some functionality ng radio over the air as well. So not necessarily kailangan mo siyang i-configure in the workshop. As long as buhay yung radio, pwede. So ayun yung niya.
Okay. Sige po. Next is kay Jason Cornelia, from Jason Cornelia. Ano pong interface ng TETRA architecture?
Ano ba 'to, yung sa transport ba 'to?
I think
Pwede siyang E1 or IP
mm,
depending sa sa available resource. Pwede rin siya mag-fiber din, depende. Pero IP or E1.
okay. Next question po. From anonymous attendee ulit. Is it possible for P25 and TETRA systems to communicate? If yes, how?
Ayun, ayun yung kahapon nga may natanong din yan. So, kasi tinignan ko P25 can be connected to PSTN. TETRA can be connected as well to PSTN. Pero hindi ko sure kung may gumawa na ng TETRA P25 in a common PSTN. Kasi yung PSTN yung magiging common network mo eh. So, I'm not sure kung may gumawa na nun. Pero yung TETRA to GSM, ginagawa na namin ngayon yun. So, I'm sure nagagana siya. However, in the design part, meron kaming mga design dito na magkasama ang TETRA at P25 sa isang design. Pero yung handset niya magkahiwalay. So, that's the So, kailangan ko rin i-check kung siguro kung try ko i-research kung may makita tayo na TETRA na can also accommodate P25 services, baka pwede. So, I'm not sure because tinitingnan ko rin yung mga license kahapon sa TETRA, wala siyang ang connected niya lang yung sa PSTN eh. I'm not particularly sure kung pwede siyang i-connect directly. Pero pwede silang kumonect sa PSTN. I'm sure of that. Pero yung to connect TETRA to P25 directly, hindi ako sure.
So most probably kung connect
Most probably may mga license siguro. Or kailangan mo ng meron kasi mga nabibili ngayon na yung converter. Kino-convert niya yung mga tawag dito. Para siyang technology converter eh. Ina-adapt niya yung mga ganito. So may mga nabibili na ganun. Siguro pwede. Pero wala lang ako makitang evidence eh. Kumbaga hindi ako 100% sure. Wala akong makitang evidence na talaga siya. Or wala akong makitang available resource na magsusupport doon sa pwede. Mas lamang yung hindi, kumbaga ngayon.
Sige. Okay. Next question from Sir Ray Lagumbay. What is the maximum range distance of DMO?
Yung maximum range distance ng DMO, it will depend on the yung range ng repeater mo rin. So, if you're using a repeater, kung anong coverage ng repeater mo, ay hindi nyo magiging range ng DMO mo. All mobiles under DMO can connect to the repeater. Yung naman, yung kung naka-handheld ka na DMO, yung DMO to DMO, usually kung ano lang yung coverage ng ng handheld mo. For the handheld, if I'm not mistaken, mga nasa 1 kilometer depende sa transmit or yung antenna mo kasi napapalitan yung antenna ng TETRA. So, depending on the antenna mo. Pero just a rule of thumb, let's say 1 kilometer for handheld.
Okay, so medyo marami pang question dito, Kuya Mervs, no? So, from Christian Parado, good PM, kaya po ba pagganahin through 5 kilowatt solar panel and simple setup of TETRA like 5 square kilometer? Thanks.
Kung kaya mo, setup mo. Kung 5 kilometer lang na square kilometer, pwede kang magtayo na lang ng repeater. Tapos, para sa medyo lakasan mo na lang yung antena ng repeater mo, pwede ka na mag-TETRA. Diba? Kung gusto mo mag-establish ng isang network for 5 kilometer radius lang. Pwede yun, repeater na lang. Pero mas maganda para sa akin mag-solar kasi may prone to error eh. Kung magtatayo ka kasi ng TETRA, usually kailangan consistent yung power. So, ayun yung kung balak mo mag-cover ng 5 kilometer, mas maganda yung fix yung yung power source mo. So that at least reliable yung system.
Okay, so from Sir Jesse Chrysler, kilala. May available na po ba na NTC frequency for PSN?
Meron na tayo siguro. Di ako sure when it comes to allocation ng NTC, pero since gumagamit na tayo ng DMR 3, tingin ko nag-allocate na sila ng frequency for the PSN as well. Saka yung usually mga frequency na to by standards na to license, hindi siya free.
I think yung TETRA din, alam ko TETRA din ang gagamitin ng PNR ngayon eh. So medyo mas malayo-layo ata yung nila coverage. So alam ko from Manila to Bicol yung itatry nila ngayon. For TETRA. Ewan ko lang kung paano nila yun. Kasi PNR yun. Yeah, we will use GSMR naman eh. Anyway, so maganda rin naman daw yung TETRA for Next is Jerwell Celestino. Sir, ask ko lang po kung yung TETRA radios are supported by simplex mode.
May simplex mode din siya. Yung receive lang, receive or transmit lang. Meron din, pero usually mga half duplex na siya.
Madalas duplex na naman, half and full duplex. Kasi mahirap na rin yung simplex mode ngayon.
Kasi para sa akin, practicality wise, simplex parang na rin di ba? Yeah. Receive ka lang. Usually pag emergency, kailangan mo ng both transmit and receive. So, usually half or full duplex.
Okay, sige po. From anonymous attendee po ulit. Hi, do you think TETRA will be phased out soon since existing LTE and 5G technologies are already laid out? Some government agencies are utilizing LTE as supplement to TETRA.
I think no. Given the demand and the market for TETRA, no. Because if you will see yung mga oil and gas companies, they pay millions for TETRA services. So it's not, I think it's not a dying technology for the meantime. Especially ngayon na gusto nila usually SCADA na lang. So one of the best application of TETRA now in oil and gas is SCADA. So, and yung reliability ng coverage mo for TETRA. So I don't think na ipa-phase out siya ngayon. Pero usually in the PSN, like I told in my previous discussion as well, meron na rin tayong LTE. Nilalagyan na rin ng LTE for rapid data. So, pero TETRA usually still number 1 PSN. Yung when it comes to the market, yung market share, marami pa rin yung gumagamit ng TETRA.
Kumbaga at the end of the day, kahit tayo ng technology, TETRA will still be, kumbaga, mas okay pa rin siya pag kumbaga stability ng network. Like that.
When it comes to application, so ayun yung marami pa rin application. So I don't think mape-phase out agad-agad.
Sige po. Okay, from Mr. Edwin Mag-iba Jr. Regarding the DMO using a TETRA portable radio to act as bridge or gateway to extend coverage, how many hubs or portable radio can be used to maximize coverage?
Yung portable radio as a DMO, pagka nag-gateway ka, usually lang yan. Para siyang, by concept, para siyang repeater. So, nag-establish ka ng isang repeater station. So, pwede kayong connect, pwede kayong maraming connect. It will be a one channel, pero yung conversation nyo is limited kasi using DMO, one slot lang kayo eh. Wala kasi kayong trunking, di ba? Unlike in a trunk radio na 4. So using DMO, usually one slot lang kayo. So pwede kayong connect marami, pero isa lang yung pwede mag-transmit in a succession. So as long as yung, for example, ang ginamit mong repeater is a handheld, let's say may coverage na, let's say 500 meter. Within that 500 meter area, kung ilan yung makakonect doon, okay lang. Makakonect sila doon sa repeater na yon as a handheld. Pero yung magta-transmit, isa lang. So yung number of hop, usually 1 lang kasi ayun lang yung naka-gateway mode. So hindi ka pwedeng tumalon. So ayun yung disadvantage niya under DMO. Pero at least meron kayong nakakapag-extract kayo ng additional coverage during the times of critical times.
Okay. This next question medyo linawin lang po namin na the rec and other the opinion of the rec and other guest speaker does not
Ano yan?
medyo to eh. So the next question is who are the vendors or manufacturers of TETRA? Hindi po kami nagko-commercialize dito or hindi po kami nag-endorse ng kahit anong product.
So to give you sample of TETRA vendors, we have Airbus, we have Sepura, we have ano pa ba? We have Motorola rin yata. So pero mas mas familiar ako sa Airbus. Personally, mas familiar ako sa Airbus. We have din AADS ngayon.
Dito yung ginagamit, ayoko na magsabi ng brand. Meron ginagamit dito eh. Alam ko yung brand ng PNP.
Letter H.
Letter H ata yun. Oh. Anyway.
IECEP. Ako na magsasabi.
IECEP. Pero natin yan. Anyway.
Sponsor natin yung dati.
Dati sponsor ba natin yan?
IECEP nanalo sa DMR eh. Di ba? Usually all the radios ng BFP at PNP ngayon IECEP.
IECEP na ang gamit nila. Okay. Next is from Sir RV June Cabanyog. How can you know if your TETRA communication is being intercepted and how do you recover it?
Ito, magandang tanong to. Usually, TETRA communication is encrypted, di ba? Usually, yung level of encryption ng TETRA is based on the specification nung tawag dito. Based on the specification nung gagamit ng operator. So usually kung magi-intercept sila ng ng TETRA, makikita 'yung sa DXT. So at the same time, magpa-pop up 'yung mga number eh. Mas madali siyang makita. 'Yung mga user mo lahat, madali siyang makita. So when it comes to security, kung may makita siyang unnecessary na mga numbers or hindi niya inassign na number, may mga IS kasi yan eh, may mga number yan per TETRA. Pwede niya disable over the air din. So kahit makakapasok ka, pwede niyang i-disable yung mo. Yung at very controlled ang TETRA. May mga serial numbers yan na pwede lang connect sa network mo. So very secured. Kailangan mo ng talaga configuration wise.
Okay. So talagang ang nalala ko lang na encrypted na na radio yung sa Army, sa AFP. So,
encrypted yan end-to-end at air interface may encryption. So mahirap din basagin.
Pero depende rin sa encryption, no? Pero madalas naman mataas na yan, 1 to 8.
Mataas.
Hindi naman 1 to 8.
Hindi ako familiar sa number pero maganda ang encryption niya kasi dalawang encryption, air interface encryption saka end-to-end encryption mo ng mobile. So medyo mahirap na siya i-crack at different din siya per operator. So mahirap gawin.
Kumbaga it will take time for them para ma-encrypt. And yeah. Sige po. Okay, next question from Sir Ronald Torres. Hi sir, ask ko po if there will be no interference between GSM 900 and TETRA Tier 3 upon integration to a network.
TETRA po walang Tier 3 baka DMR yung niya.
Baka nga DMR.
So DMR usually 96 to 400 siya. Medyo malayo siya sa GSM band natin. So that's one of the good point as well. TETRA rin malayo kasi 300 to 400 ang TETRA. So malayo siya in terms of interference. So and in your receiver side as well. So kung naka-tune ka in the receiver side for TETRA lang din. TETRA frequency lang din, hindi ka makaka-interface naman.
Okay. May mga questions tayo from FB Live, no? Just was sent to us. So this is the question from Engineer Yasilo Simagala Jr. Few years back, there was a plan to emulate TETRA on 4G platform. This is due to the incident on 11/11 whereby first responders were unable to coordinate with each properly since they were using different platforms such as TETRA, P25, and so on. In light with this, the initiative was created to develop TETRA-like services over 4G using the 900 frequency range. The advantage of this is the high data throughput, allowing the first responders to do video call during operation. Is there any updates on this, if this had progressed, or where is this now as we speak?
Yung 9/11 to, no, may nakita akong document with regards to 9/11. Tama yun na may inibuild sila na LTE network with regards, parang TETRA-like. Pero ano yan due to that incident as well, kaya nabuo yung mga PSN network, yung improvement sa PSN network dahil doon sa confusion during 9/11 na response. So ngayon, ini-integrate na nila yung different PSN. Kung mapapansin ko kahapon, yung may isang slide ako doon, may mga different agency with different dispatch, pero isang common network trunking na lang sila. So isa yun sa solution nila during this 9/11, yung aftermath 9/11. So ginawa na rin nila ngayon yun. Kasi dati, for example, TETRA system, different trunk siya, different dispatcher. Now they centralize it na. So may different network pa rin kayo, pero yung trunking system nyo at yung dispatcher nyo, common na. So ayun yung isa sa mga practices ngayon. So with regards to that technology, alam ko may isang brand ako nakalimutan pero hindi ko maalala yung pangalan. Pero ayun yung kinikater nila ngayon. Pero ibang application yata.
Okay. Before we proceed the next questions po, announcement lang. For those who have received the automated email from Zoom tapos hindi po kayo naka-attend, please disregard na lang po. Okay po? Okay. As long as you're registered and you have filled out the feedback form, then that's okay. As long as nakapanood po kayo. And actually, it doesn't matter naman po kung ang mahalaga po dito ay kung may natutunan po kayo dun sa aming mga ino-offer na webinars. Okay, next question po tayo from Sir Glenn Arthur Narag of IECEP UAE chapter. Hello po. During critical times, what is the level of security in TETRA network if it is functioning on DMO?
Yun, katulad nung kanina, yung pinakita natin sa slide. So, meron pa ring air interface sa end-to-end interface when it comes to encryption, air-to-air interface encryption sa end-to-end encryption when it comes to DMO. So, yung mga license with regards to security, applicable pa rin siya sa DMO. Ang difference lang ng DMO is lumiliit yung capacity mo kasi hindi ka naka-trunk system na. So, carry over pa rin siya sa mobile. So, when it comes to level of security, okay pa rin.
Okay. Another question. Ito, Sir Mervs, kilala mo to. Professor natin to, Dr. Marianito Gallego Jr.
Hello, Sir, Sir G.
Yan, nanood siya via FB Live. Tama ba na mas okay ang TETRA sa fragmented land area na tulad ng Pilipinas with several islands?
Yun, okay siya in a sense of deployment kasi mas mabilis i-deploy ang TETRA system at the same time covering wide area. Pero in a nationwide, for me, kung ang pagbabasihan is coverage for nationwide, I will go with P25 kung coverage lang. Pero kung pagbabasihan yung coverage plus capacity, I will go with TETRA. So dependent sa area. Kung urban and suburban, I will go with TETRA.
And okay. So proceed tayo with the next question. From Mr. Edwin Mag-iba Jr. again. Does TETRA also support emergency management like man down and lone worker through dispatcher?
May mga emergency calls naman for TETRA. Yung diniscuss natin kanina, yung mag-shift ka. Tama ba? Yan yung kung may emergency calls?
Yeah, emergency calls management.
Meron. Pagka inactivate mo yung emergency switch mo, it's up to the dispatcher kung i-recognize niya kasi minsan napipindot lang. So may mga pipilapan ka rin after nung pag-switch mo yung emergency key. So once na ma-verify na dispatcher na okay, may valid emergency ka, you will have the priority in the duration. Once you opt it, mawala na rin yung priority mo.
Okay. Next question from from the trustee of PUP Rec Manila section, Sir Ben Viloria. Does TETRA, like DMR, use repeaters then interface with internet?
Pwede. Pwede siya. Pwede siyang gawin. Kasi ngayon, due to the advent of the technology, pwede mo na rin siya i-remotely via internet. So, mga remote access na rin siya. So, pwede siya. Possible siya.
Okay. By this time, Sir Merbs, we will be allowing some participants na direkta magtatanong sa inyo. So if you're going to ask from our attendees or from our participants here in Zoom, you may raise your hand so that we can call you once sino yung una man mag-raise ng hand sa inyo. You can directly ask our speaker for this time, no? So para tayong nasa Papa Jack. Akala wala na pala si Papa Jack, no? Nasa na
Jackson
siya?
Jackson
na siya. Papa Jackson. Okay. So, raise your hands lang po dun sa ating screen or dun sa ating interface. So, para kung meron man kayong tanong directly dun sa ating speaker, he can directly answer it also. So, para marinig din yung inyong mga beautiful voices. Okay. So, yan. Well, we are waiting for other questions sa Q&A box. Okay? So, wala po. May mga magtatanong po ba? Mga nahihiya sila o nahihiya or tulog po ba kayo? I think hindi naman po kayo tulog, no, by this time, no. Parang sa mga seminar po, no. Pero I think kayo po ay talagang nakikinig kay Sir Merbs kasi marami tayong natutunan. Okay. So, yes po. Hello, Tito Ornan. Opo, ako lang po yung mag-isang host ngayon. Mamaya pong gabi, mag-isa lang din po si Hard. Okay. Walang nahihiya sila magtanong, Sir Merbs, no? So, balik tayo dun sa Q&A box. Pero open pa rin po tayo kung sino man may gustong tanong para sa...
May naka-highlight dito na tanong, yung does TETRA can communicate to cellular mobile?
Yeah. Sige po.
Ayun, it can be connected to cellular mobile. So, like my example, nakakonect kami sa commercial. They can call me via my commercial number via TETRA. I can call them in their TETRA via my commercial number. So, pwede siya. Connected siya sa PSTN.
Ayan. Okay. So, ito po, from Christian Parado, what can you say to DMR two-way radio that serves also as cell phone and has SIM card things?
Yun, kailangan ng SIM card and ayun pala yung key. Kailangan mo ng SIM card to connect to PSTN para meron kang subscriber identity. So, same din siya ng TETRA. May mga TETRA din na kailangan ng SIM card para makakonect sa PSTN. So, it's the same. So, same concept din. So, it's flexibility-wise, it's good because kaya mo siyang gamitin for commercial purposes. In commercial network and in public safety. So, it's good.
Ayan. So, talagang pwede rin talaga yung interoperability na yan. So, wala pa rin nagtatanong. Siguro mamili na lang tayo na Patrick. Ginawa recitation. Mamili na lang tayo sinong participant.
Wala CPD pag walang tanong. Joke.
Walang CPD pag walang tanong. By the way, basta. Anyway, so yun. Eto, may question tayo. Kung sakaling magkakaroon ng common tower station, ay magkakaroon po ba ng interference to other cell sites from Christian Parado?
Yun, magandang question to. So, kung may common tower station, for common tower station, usually kailangan lang natin practice yung spacing. So, kung may proper spacing tayo at yung proper tawag dito, proper spacing and proper alignment with regards to the antennas, maiwasan natin yung interference. So, usually ang ginagawa namin practice dito, magkakaibang antenna height sila. Kasi limited yung paikot mo eh. So, magkakaibang antenna height na lang sila, usually.
Okay. I think we have question also from one of our trustees in the PUP Radio Engineering Circle Maragondon Section, Technical Sergeant Noel De Castro. Sir, magandang hapon po. Sir Noel?
Magandang hapon sa iyo, John.
Yes po, magandang hapon po.
Yes. My question is very simple. Okay. TETRA is the same like parang sa mga PNP na dati na trunking system. They are using 800 megahertz. Okay. So ano ang frequency ng TETRA? Operating frequency ng TETRA?
Okay, sir. Dalawa po kasi, sir, yung operating frequency ng TETRA. May isang 300 band, may isang 400 band po. So depende po sa allocation ng operator. So currently, since na-open up niyo po yung sa dating trunk ng police, so since gumagamit po sila sa sa 800 band as mentioned, mas maliit po yung area niya compared po sa TETRA area. Kasi mas mababa po yung frequency.
Kasi ang PNP dati, they are using the 800 megahertz, which is talagang short coverage talaga nangyari. Kaya, So right now, nagkaroon na ba ng upgrade ang PNP about the TETRA?
Meron na po silang ginawang upgrade, so they digitalize the system po, pero ibang PMR po yung IP, ibang po yung gamit nila, ibang standard. They are adapting DMR Tier 3, which is two-way communication din po under PMR. Pero ibang po siya, ibang standard.
Okay. I think that's my best inquiry kasi alam ko talaga nag-upgrade na sila pero ngayon ko lang nalaman na TETRA na pala ang inaano nila. Okay. Thank you very much, John, and parehong John, parehong tokayo, no? Thank you very much for that.
Okay po. Thank you, Sir Noel. Okay. I think we have last question dito. Okay. So from Sir Ray Lagumbay ulit, for study purposes, do we have free software to practice configuration? What do you suggest po?
Ay, wala po. Usually yung mga configuration po ng ng mga vendors talaga may talagang in-house na sila software to config. So tingin ko po wala yung mga free software ngayon.
Okay. Mayroon pala question dito na from Sir John Wick. On SCADA application, is the SCADA field devices gateway being given a special channel or same channel as the data or voice on TETRA?
Yung yung slots natin for TETRA, it can be used in data. So by data, for example, kasi it's either he use one slot or 4 slot with regards to that. Kung naka TEDS ka, 4 slot usually yung ginagamit niya. So ayun din po yun, both slot can be used in voice or call or data. So kung hindi siya ginagamit ng voice, pwede siya allocate sa data. So to answer the question, SCADA will also pass these slots. So the only option is it 1 slot or 4 slot with regards to the application.
Okay po. Okay. Merong tanong dito sa chat. So from Sir Edilberto Ladrillo, the contact tracing in the current COVID-19 situation in the Philippines is being done manually. Can you suggest a concept or methodology that could help our country using TETRA?
For contact tracing, so I think hindi siya magagawa via TETRA kasi lahat naman tayo walang TETRA for the meantime. So to give you an example here in Qatar, meron kami tinatawag na ETRAS. Ito ay isang application via mobile. So install mo siya sa mobile mo. Ni-require ng government na lahat kayo mag-install. And every establishment is checking your ETRAS bago ka pumasok. So yung ETRAS na to is an app na nagbo-broadcast ng location mo. So once na mag-positive ka sa COVID, at least may record ka ng lahat ng record ng lahat ng location na pinuntahan mo. At the same time, if you're near a COVID patient, it will pop up. Yeah, it will give you warning that you're near somebody which is having a positive result in ETRAS, parang ganun. So it's one of the good contact tracing app. I think Singapore has it as well. So may ganun silang app for contact tracing. So I think it can be installed to the Philippines. Kaso lang, I think ang magiging issue dito is yung privacy. Alam mo naman yung mga Pinoy, once na may gantong app, kala nila they are invading their privacy dahil alam yung mga location nila. So let's see. Pero kung ipo-push ng government to, I think we can do it.
Okay. A follow-up question ni Sir John Wick po. So pwede daw po ba yun sa data or voice yung regarding dun sa SCADA application?
Definitely dapat data siya. Pero, kasi yung SCADA is under data services. Pero yung pagkaka-allocate ng channel, it's either voice or data. So kung hindi gagamitin ng data, gagamitin ng voice. Parang gano'n.
Okay. I think we can also ask for from our guest po from the Board of Electronics Engineering, Sir Rico Del Moro, for if you have for some insights po. Hello, sir.
Good afternoon.
Hey, sir. Good afternoon po.
Mahirap sagutin yan.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hindi, ako na lang. Batiin ko na lang lahat ng mga nag-attend dito sa ating 2-day webinar on TETRA. So, it is something na it's not usual, no, for us because halos hindi natin nagagamit itong TETRA dito sa Pilipinas. And I don't know kung merong plano na gamitin siya or ibang platform lang ang iniisip nila. So hopefully yung pros and cons ay mapag-aralan so that magamit yung facility for something very useful to us, being in a high-risk area because of typhoon, earthquake, and all of that. I think si Sir Ornan will be in the best position to say kung advantageous sa kanila yung TETRA being with the RETT. Again, good afternoon to everyone.
Okay po. Thank you. Thank you, Sir Rico. Okay, I think we have questions
Jan,
pa,
sorry.
pero as much as we have limited time na po since kailangan din natin magpahinga ng ating speaker, di ba, Kuya Mervs?
Jan, sagutin ko lang to, maganda kasi yung tanong.
Sige, okay pa.
So in terms of IBS DAS, TETRA is using leaky cable, leaky RF cable. So ito, magandang tanong to, especially for those involved in the tunnel network. So currently po, ang deployment namin for leaky cable is containing LTE, P25 and TETRA in one leaky cable. So it seems fine. Okay naman, napasa namin lahat ng KPI available. So I think it will not give you interference as long as maganda yung filter ng mga gamit. So to answer the question, possible siya na mag-leaky cable. So malalayo naman yung frequency. So I think it will not cause interference. Kasi applicable tong leaky cable for tunnel. So it will be one of the best application of leaky cable. So for the upcoming tunnel project ng Philippines, maybe we can use this one.
Okay.
Ako magtanong pa isa, John.
Yes po, Tito Hernan. Okay. May question tayo from our Vice Chairman and the President of RETPH, Engineer Ornan Vicente.
response lang doon sa sinabi ni Honorable Del Moro. Yeah, the technology is appropriate doon sa mga emergency communication, no. In fact, one of the reason siguro na pinipili siya ng law enforcement at saka BFP dito sa atin. Okay, it's just a matter of I think I remember somebody asked question about how much is the investment, no? Yun lang ang medyo nag-hold doon sa ating deployment niyan. Okay, ang tanong ko lang kay John Mervin, no? Yung interoperability nito sa mobile, okay, sa mga ibang amateur and commercial radio. So, importante kasi ngayon sa atin is interoperability. Kasi kanya-kanyang system tayo, even up to the barangay, nagdo-donate. Hindi pala alam nila kung yung palang dinonate, di VHF o UHF. Ngayon nagmumurahan, ba't hindi kita makontak? Paano magkakakontak yung VHF at saka UHF? Tama?
Yes, sir.
So yun yung nagiging concern doon sa baba. So as we go around, yun, wala sa agenda namin yung basic communication, pero bumabalik kami para ma-educate yung mga users na sila mismo nagtataka bakit daw wala mga kanyan eh. Hindi ko minamaliit yung mga yan, pero they should learn kung ano ba talaga ang technology ng radyo, yung communication. So mga tanod, mga barangay disaster risk reduction management office nila, may mga concern. Okay? Pero kung makakapag-deploy tayo niyan, siyempre, kanyan eh, ang tawag nito, political will, kung talaga magkakaroon ng nationwide network para sa emergency. So yun lang. Thank you.
To answer, sir, the question, one of the disadvantage of TETRA is TETRA is only operating in VHF. Wala po siyang UHF frequency. So ito yung isa sa disadvantage ng TETRA compared to other PSN na may VHF and UHF. So that's to answer your question, sir. With the operability, sir, pwede natin siyang i-connect in a common PSTN. So ayun nga lang, sir, yung hindi ako sigurado kung yung radio ng, for example, TETRA radio can communicate with P25 radio kasi so far lamang yung hindi, sir. Pero I think we can connect them to one PSTN. Let's assign them some SIM cards. Maybe they can connect with each other via the SIM card. Parang ganun. Let's try. Ako, sir, in theory, tingin ko kaya. Wala lang ako makita to back up may na kung kaya, kung pwede. Pero I think by theory, pwede siya. Maglalagay lang tayo ng mga SIM cards.
Sana may share mo sa amin yung kung may ma-research ka, ha? Kasi
yes, sir.
Importante rito sa Pilipinas, interoperability. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay po. Thank you, Sir Ornan, and thank you everyone for participating. Any final remarks from Sir Merbs to our audience?
Thank you po sa lahat ng umaten at sumuport ng webinar natin. So personally, I would like to say thank you to REC and IECEP Qatar for organizing this webinar. And to personal note, gusto ko lang i-mention yung mga katrabaho ko sa HCOM services. So hello there. Hope you find this presentation clear, or if you have any question, just let me know via Rec. So for those na gustong humingi ng presentation, I will give copy to Rec, the updated copy, and then they will distribute it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you po. On behalf of the Radio Engineering Circle Incorporated, we want to deeply thank you and appreciate our guest speaker, Engineer John Mervin La Rosa, for the opportunity to learn and for carving out time for free to spend with us all. Again, we thank and appreciate you, sir. To our participants, we would like to invite you again to join us on our next webinars. Okay? But before that, let me acknowledge first also IECEP Qatar chapter also for hosting our webinar. Kasama natin sila ngayon. Also with us is from IECEP Oman chapter, Engineer Jimmy Santos. From IECEP UAE chapter, Engineer Glenn Arthur Narag and Sir Ralph Lontok. Hello po. And from IECEP Rizal chapter also with us, Engineer Ernie Espinosa. Also with us is IECEP Mindoro chapter napaka-supportive. Okay, so invite din namin kayo for the Resonate at Home Season 2 Free Technology Webinar, Genesis of Emergency Communications in the Philippines, the Bayanihan Edition. So this Saturday na po yan, ngayon, June 13, 2020 ang start. Then we have on June 20 and June 27. Different topics po yan, and our resource speaker is none other than the founder of the RET-PH, Colonel Edwin C. Sadang, PECE MNSA, PA. So via Zoom webinar. Register via webinar.rec.org.ph. So /resonate at home. Okay, so you may contact us at information@ret.org.ph. So be part of our growing amateur radio club. So you can join us at Radio Engineering Circle Incorporated. Join our circle. Apply online at rec.org.ph/join. We are a proud member of the Philippine Amateur Radio Association and the Federation of Rapid Emergency Telecoms Team of the Philippines. Okay. So also, we would like to acknowledge the presence also of Sir Naldi Daos of CMX Consortium, mabuhay ang mga taga-rail, and Engineer Michael Stephen Gorospe of Department of Information and Communication Technology. Also with us are from the Academe, Dr. Engineer Marianita P. Gallego Jr. of PUP na nasa FB Live, Engineer Joseph Nalunat, National University, Engineer Oliver Mariano from Bulacan State University, and Engineer Stephen Rabano of De La Salle pa. Also, we would like to acknowledge the wife of our speaker and our batchmate, Engineer Irene Walican La Rosa. Hello. Okay, so to formally close the webinar, may we call on the IECEP Qatar 2018 Governor, Engineer Sherwin Ricaflanca, PECE, ACPA. Sir Nandita Os of CMX Consortium, mabuhay ang mga taga-rail, and Engineer Michael Stephen Gorospe of Department of Information and Communication Technology. Also with us,
hello sir, good afternoon and good evening na siguro, or good afternoon sa inyong lahat dyan. Once again, maraming salamat po sa lahat na nag-attend ng ating webinar. Kay Engineer Rico Del Moro, sa REC leadership kay Colonel Edwin Sadang, Engineer Gerhard Tan, Engineer Ornan Vicente, yung IECEP Superman natin, and Engineer Patrick Culipas, the REC President. Sa IECEP Q leadership, IECEP Qatar leadership, kay Gov Carmelito Bernades Jr., kay Engineer Adonis Talabo, kay Engineer Jaime Portaleza, Engineer Erson Batool, and sa lahat ng IECEP chapter na nag-join sa atin ngayon at sumuporta sa webinar na to, maraming salamat sa inyo. And sa ating speaker, no, kay Engineer John Mervin La Rosa, maraming salamat sa iyong pagbabahagi ng knowledge, no. Again, naging fruitful na naman ang ating quarantine time, no. So hopefully patuloy tayong makapagbigay ng additional knowledge at saka suporta sa bawat isa in these times of pandemic. And maraming salamat again sa REC and sa IECEP Q and sa IECEP National. Thank you.
Okay, thank you po, Sir Sherwin, for the closing remarks. Few announcements po before we end the webinar. Please fill out the feedback form. We will flash it on the screen. Also, those who only register shall be given with the e-certificate if you filled out the feedback form. Again, you will be redirected to the link for the feedback form. Please answer this and this will be a prerequisite for the e-certificate issuance. Continue attending the last part of the series tomorrow. This will be the last part pala, no? Okay, so please fill out the feedback form po para makareceive tayo ng e-certificate. Also, uh, if you watch the webinar via the FB Live and you have registered through our registration via Zoom, kung makareceive man po kayo ng email na let's say na hindi daw po kayo umattend na Zoom, please disregard it as long as alam niyo po na nakaregister kayo. So just fill out the feedback form. And it's already raining and it's already 4:55 p.m. And this has been the DX Journey, Technology Beyond Horizon. I'm Engineer John De La Cruz for Foxtrot 1 Juliet. Thank you and see you all this evening for the Resonate at Home Free Technology webinar. Thank you.